You were really able to document a very important period in the Lebanese contemporary history. Like that's really like something that happened throughout the last few years, and we're really like happy and like proud of everything that you were able to document. My first question to you is about the process of working on this film in a context that kept changing, like in a drastic way, and even keeps changing until now, at this moment, current moment, while we're watching this film, while Lebanon being in a different political situation, being attacked by Israel. My question, how did this continuous change of the political situation impacted your film and the process of working on it?
Thank you. Like I'm seeing the audience, and I really would like to thank everybody who came to watch the film and who stayed. Thanks to Cinema Politica for screening the film and for advocating for this film. So yeah, we are in a critical situation. Like the context has changed ever since I did the film. I started doing it in 2018. By then, I don't know why, I felt that the wind of change was coming, you know, that there was change in the air. Because a lot of the Lebanese society was moving. There was the civil society was gathering to change things, and this is how I started filming with Jumana during the elections. But at the same time, I wanted also to. I still had questions regarding the civil war. And the past that was still very present and not allowing the future or the present to evolve, you know. So I started filming also with George, and George is the continuation and somehow of my previous film, A Time to Rest. So I started filming with him and with Jumana, trying to say how the past is, how maybe there is hope in this new generation that is defying the past through elections. And when Jumana won, and the next day she was ejected by fraud, this is how she became a character for me. Then, of course, all the rest, the revolution, the explosion, all the events that happened after this, of course, like it was a surprise for me. And I learned a lot actually through this film, because I learned how to navigate and to navigate with the events, and to reinvent myself without losing the core of the film, the first idea I wanted to tell, and that is of how we keep on dreaming of changing a country, and how we keep on working on changing the status quo. So yeah, first idea was really to keep on filming the change, the positive change, and how people are able to challenge the status quo. So first it was through elections, then through the revolution that wasn't, of course, it wasn't scripted, you know. But then when the explosion happened, it was for me, I thought that I will stop filming, because this was something like I was in the explosion at the same time I was in Beirut. So all of the events, I was living the events with my characters as well. So I was filming, but I was also living them. And this was a challenge by itself. But when the explosion happened, I thought that I will stop filming. But then it's Jumana who called me, and she was like, come and film. We have something to come and see how the new generation is helping rebuild, and we have something to say. And this is how I understood also that I wasn't doing the film, a film on these characters, but we were doing a film together, and that we had something to say all together, you know. And then I continued filming till 2022, because I was waiting to see the elections we had in 2022, and I wanted to see if Jumana would run in the elections again, but actually she didn't. So we stopped with this scene of Perla Jo singing.
Thank you, Myriam. So as you mentioned, we can see in the film that you picked 3 characters and you had your own choice and you wanted to present the Lebanese society, unless I'm mistaken, to show the collective efforts, the hopes, the frustrations throughout that period of time. So with these individual stories, I felt you aimed at portraying the society as a whole. Can you tell us more? Why did you choose these 3 characters? You started answering a bit these questions, and mainly that also 2 of them were women. One was older. There was a different kind of generational perspective on things and on the revolution and other subjects. And do you think that these 3 characters were able to really represent the Lebanese society in terms of, for example, social classes, political opinions, political representations in general?
I think that it wasn't done literally this way. I think that I picked them up, but they picked me also. Like they entered in the film in a very organic way. I mean, when I filmed Pella Jo in this scene with Jumana, when she was talking about, she started, there is a long monologue, she's still very frustrated and she's in this gathering at Jumana's place. This was my first encounter with her. And I didn't know at all that she will become a character, I filmed her. I was very moved by what she said. And I felt that I relate a lot because I live and I come from the same area where she comes from. So I can understand all what she's saying. And after this moment, I went to her and I hugged her and I was like, I'm sure we will meet again in life. What's your name, And then 2 or 3 weeks later, the revolution started. And I went in this revolution without a camera. I was just living the revolution. And all of a sudden I saw Perla and she had changed. Something has she was emancipated, she was expressing herself, her anger, getting out her anger, singing. So I started filming her with my phone, and then I started following her. Then I brought my camera, and I understood that she will be in the film, and I understood by then that if we couldn't change through elections, maybe we are changing in the streets through the revolution. So things were more organic, you see, than and it wasn't for me in order to represent a part of the society. Maybe George, yes, because George really, like you said, he represents this past that is very blurred, and this society that we grew up with people like George, and Lebanon. We are like our fathers are like George, our uncles, like all of them took a lot of the Lebanese society took part in the civil war. So George represents these people who are who would tell their stories, but sometimes we don't know if it's true or if it's not true, if they are exaggerating, because a history book wasn't written also. Like our history stops in 1990, so at the end of the Civil War, 1975, sorry. So nothing was written about the Civil War. So this is why also a lot of people would tell you stories about the war, and you don't know if it's true or not true. What we are sure of is that George was part of this war. So George represents this past that is that Jumana and Perla are fighting against because they would like to suggest something else.
Yeah, thank you. So we also noticed that the film holds a lot of emotions of hope, as you mentioned, but at the same time of anger and frustration, sadness, expressed by the characters, but also by yourself. you were part of the film, you were a character yourself, and you were telling the story with your own voice. How did this hope, anger, sadness, frustration played a role in the making of the film and like shifting between all these emotions?
Actually, I didn't know that I was doing, like, in the beginning. I knew that the film was a film about change and hope, but then I was seeing in front of me how year after year we were going down, you know, and we couldn't stop going down with the crisis, then the explosion. But I think at one point also I was taking, me and my characters were taking, I was taking some of their energy of how they were rebounding, hoping, they didn't want to let go, you know, and sometimes they used to take of my energy. Like when Pella Jo, for example, in one of the demonstrations, she looks at me and she's like, your camera is protecting me. This is a moment where she takes from my energy, you know. And at one point, and after the explosion, I'm taking from the energy of Jomana, who is very, like, she's rebounding, she opens a bar, she decides not to die, you know. So so and the film was, I think that I understood. It took me a lot of time to finish the film because I needed to take this space and observe what I've been shooting for the past the past 4 years and what I've been living. And this took a lot of time. And this is how actually my character came in the film also as a fourth character. Because in the beginning, I had in 2022 a film of 3 hours with 3 characters with all the ups and downs of the country, and I wasn't in the film. Then I thought that actually I would like to take time to understand what we've lived, and to write and to take out all my like the diaries I used to write during these years, and to make something else, to bring another level to the film, another level that will not be only about like the events, you know, only the political events happening. I would like to bring something else that is more spiritual, maybe, or more poetic. And this is how I created my character. And I think that this is why also we feel that in the film that there is, even though we have a lot of despair, but there is hope also. It comes from, I think that it comes from the characters themselves, and it comes from the little moments of poetry that brings us to the past, or bring us in my stories of love and childhood. It's so true that we cannot build any future if we don't deal with our past, and I think that we didn't. We never really dealt with our past, and I think that films they have this role, you know. And we've been. I'm not the only one working on the past. Like, we have a lot of filmmakers, Lebanese filmmakers from my generation and older than me, who have been working on dealing with this past through films, because we lack because our politicians didn't do the job, you know. But so George in the beginning promised to say things, but I think that actually what happened is that first I brought him somewhere else. I brought him to what needed to be, to what I needed to hear is the bus incident. It's the beginning of the war. Because and there is a question mark about it. We don't really know if it's him or not. But this is a very important incident in the history of the civil war and of the country. So I brought him there. But then I think that what he wanted to say was didn't make sense anymore after the revolution, because the revolution brought out a lot of things also. Like we dared say. Name people and talk about their past. So I think that what George had to say like I didn't bring it to in the film anymore because the revolution brought something else bigger than what George had to say. We are searching for a small, for some hope. Ever since the start of the war, you know, it has been more than 1 month now, and more than 1 year in the south of Lebanon and in Palestine. But ever since it started, I'm trying through this film also to talk about what's happening, or to hear people, or to bring people together. And I think that sometimes cinema can do this, and it made me believe again in the power of cinema and bringing together, you know, people to talk and to express what they are feeling and to think together. So it's good maybe to be able to think together of how do we find hope in these days. I love the last scene, and I don't know what how do you see the last scene of Perla singing? Because this scene for me is someone who has a lot of anger, and she still sings. And actually, I feel that each time I see this scene, I'm like, actually, whenever we have anger in us, it's good, you know, it's positive. And today we have a lot of anger in us, and this will make us. I hope that this will make us create things again, and go through what we are living. You know, I teach as well in the Lebanese Academy of Fine Arts, and I come from the Bekaa, and I have a student who also comes from the same area from in the Bekaa. It's Rawiyat in the Bekaa. And Rawiyat was destroyed from the very first days of the war in end of September. So this student called me to tell me, you know, I lost my house. We've been building this house for 15 years and we lost it. And he was like, but it's fine, you know, it's only it's only material things, like we can build again. And then he said, and there are also a lot of memories in this house, but then memories, we will build other memories. And I found that he has like he's only 20 and he's saying this. So I would like to stick to this, you know, in order to rebound. That even memories will be able to create other memories. Jumana should have she was supposed to come with me, because now I'm in France. I'm not in Lebanon, and she was supposed to come with me and join me in some festivals we are doing together, but she refused to go out because she felt that she is needed in the country and that she has to stay. And actually, she is doing a lot. Like, she's talking all the time about what's happening. She's challenging the narrative. She is being interviewed she's doing a TV show where she talks for 10 minutes every Thursday on Italian television. So she's doing it's a political act, you know. She's challenging the narrative that you are hearing all the time. She's giving some news from home, you know. Perla, she left after the 2 years in 2022. She left to the US, and she got her papers there, and she needed to change life. Actually, it was very difficult for her. The disillusion of the revolution was very difficult for her. So she left, and tonight she's screening the film. She will be screening this film in the US, in Philadelphia. So she's also trying to talk about what's happening in Lebanon through this film, and sharing sharing her experience, sharing the fight she had to go through during the years of the revolution. And I see hope in this, you know, because they are, both of them didn't want to let go of their dreams, and they are trying, like a lot of people in Lebanon, they are still in Lebanon and outside of the country, trying to explain, to challenge the narrative of the media, to explain what's happening, to fight for justice, you know, and I think that this is all what we can do today also. Or a big part of what we can do, even as artists. And George he's alive. He's in not very good shape. His house is really literally 5 minutes away from the suburbs of Beirut, so it's a bit difficult to live where he is living. So sometimes when it becomes very dangerous, he leaves the house with his daughter to the mountains, then he comes back home. So it's difficult for him. It's difficult. Actually, in this kind of documentaries, time is very important. Spending a lot of time with characters is very important. I spent a lot of time with George. I spent 1 year in 2017 visiting him all the time without even filming, you know. And it was important for me to just create this, how do we call it, like the intimacy, and like he feels good, and he can talk and freely, you know. So this time was needed. And when we spend a lot of time like this, then Mimo, the daughter of George, would talk to her father this way and include me in the conversation, and there is no shame in it, you know. She feels there is confidence between us. And this is how you can catch these moments that are moments of life, and I really love these moments because we have we can understand actually what's happening outside and what's happening economically in the country through a moment of life, and that brings, and then all of a sudden, like the audience, every time actually, and I screen the film, people would talk about this moment, you know, of George and his daughter. And I think it's because they can relate, you know. There is something very intimate, and we are in the middle of the family, inside the house, and it becomes human, and this is human being, you know. And we're not talking economics on the television. We are seeing a father and a daughter talking about how to get through this, you know, through this economic crisis. And at the same time, the father, George, is a little bit, he's not understanding anymore. He's out of this world, you know, of the real world. So yeah, these moments they come naturally when you spend a lot of time with your characters. Same with Jumana, when she tells me, like, I'm sleeping well because I'm taking sleeping pills, you know. In order to reach this moment where Jumana doesn't wear a mask anymore, and she can share these things with me, or she can, like, after the explosion also, we see her tired, without makeup, and she's like, it's like love story. She would tell me it's like love story. The country is like love story. We should keep on believing that it will be better tomorrow, that the next relationship will be better. These moments, you cannot catch them if you don't spend a lot of time with the characters. Patience, you know, patience and time.